All right, so we have a good group in here. I'll start off by introducing myself. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Interactive Media and Game Development Accepted Students Information Session. My name is Sydney Trahan. I am a counselor, admissions counselor at WPI. And we all have like regional responsibilities that we cover for reading applications. And so mine are, if anyone's curious, Long Island, New Hampshire, Wisconsin, and Kentucky. So some random states thrown in there, as well as some New England. I will not be hosting this presentation today. I will let Professor Smith take it away. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to WPI. Congratulations on your acceptance. I'm here to present about a program that is near and dear to my heart, the Interactive Media and Game Development Program. So I'm going to start things off with an example of some of our recent student work, and then we'll take it from there. But hold tight for a video.
Hey, can you hear me? Not if you can understand me. This is amazing. I can't believe it.
Go to sleep.
It'll only be a moment. I promise.
All right, so welcome to IMGD. My name is Jillian Smith. I'm the director of the program here at WPI. And just to give you an overview of what we're going to be talking about this evening, or evening Worcester time, I'm going to be giving some examples of student work, talk a little bit about why WPI IMGD is a great place to be, give an overview of the kind of areas of expertise that our faculty have and what we do in our curriculum, talk some about our wonderful student community and extracurricular opportunities that we offer through the program, talk a little bit about our employment outlook and the kinds of things that our alumni are doing today. So I want to start just by talking about some of the student projects and showing a few examples of student projects, both within our curriculum and outside of it. I'm going to start with a little video of an annual game jam that we run. So this is Cutthroat Game Jam.
So, how are you gonna do this? You're gonna do this with two phases. Your first phase is your collection phase. So there'll be timed phases where you get to go out into our unique world with multiple food items, from apples to roadkill to beetles. You wanna find.
So this is an annual game jam that our student IDDA chapter runs, the International Game Developers Association chapter here on campus, called Cutthroat Game Jam. It's a weekend-long experience for students that runs outside of our curriculum, where the students work to create games over the course of that weekend, and it's inspired by Cutthroat Kitchen. And so there's all kinds of weird like challenges and difficulties and obstacles that get thrown in the way of our student teams. I think this one, they didn't bother to tell the professor who was judging it that they had to present like as a boy band in a dance. But so these are some of the kinds of things that our student organizations put together. And it's a really nice experience for our students to be able to get really targeted experience working in interdisciplinary teams, making games for fun in a fun community setting. Here's Chroma Dash. I'll let the video run a little bit. So this is an example of a project that students in their first year in the IMGD program worked together to make. They worked on the art, they worked on the characters, the level design, the mechanics, the programming, all of it from scratch. And then Chromodash ended up in the before times of the pandemic. It was showcased at the Boston Festival of Independent Games, a local industry-oriented event over in Boston. And we are returning to these events in person now that we're reaching whatever stage of the pandemic that we're in at this point. We have students who design a booth that runs at PAX East. We go to Boston Festival of Indie Games, all kinds of events and opportunities for you to be able to show your work to a larger community and go have fun at gaming events as well. Just to give a few examples of the kinds of projects that students do in their major qualifying project. So I'm not sure how familiar you all are with the various acronyms and terminology of the WPI plan at this point, but this is the senior year kind of capstone design project that's required for all students in the major. Here's one example of a game that, that students created. It's called The Call of Karen. It is a Call of Cthulhu inspired 1950s suburban housewife simulator. It's got a lot of humorous elements. This is a project that the students released on Steam at the end of their experience. It's actually also been localized into 5 different languages at this point. And they released at the very end of the very beginning of the pandemic and ended up getting picked up by Japanese news media. And so it's had, you know, thousands of downloads at this point. And it's a project that we're all kind of proud of, and it's very funny and weird. I encourage you to check it out. Some other examples of projects that students do in our program. This is a project that's running actually right now. I'm co-advising it. I just met with the students earlier today on creating an escape room for a robot. And so it's an interdisciplinary project between IMGD and robotics engineering, where the IMGD students are designing an escape room and puzzles and talking about the kinds of constraints on the design of the robot, and the RBE students, robotics engineering students, are working on actually creating a working robot. And by the end of the term, so 3 weeks from now, we'll be able to have participants like play with this teleoperated robot and solve an escape room as a robot, looking through the camera, like looking through the eyes of the robot. So cool projects like that. And then other example of major qualifying projects, this is actually prototype art from a piece that our student Hannah just finished. We do a lot of work on the interactive media side as well, not just the game development side. Our student Hannah did a mini museum for her MQP. She had 5 different pieces. This is prototype art for a piece that she had that is on like a big physical globe with little red strings connecting to the locations of stories about love in war-torn parts of the world. And it was a beautiful exhibition. It actually just finished the other day. I need to update this with a picture of the final piece. But if you're interested in things that are about art and technology and the combination of those things, it doesn't have to be games. IMGD does all of it, and we're very excited to welcome students who are interested in games and interested in interactive media and interested in both. So IMGD is one of the world's oldest degree programs in interactive media and game development. We were founded in 2004. Since 2006, we've had over 1,300 graduates of our program. We've been doing this for a really, really long time. And while we're still learning and changing the program on a yearly basis, we've got a pretty good sense of how to run things by now. And we've got a really strong community and a strong network of alumni as well. The core philosophy of the IMGD program is that we want all IMGD students to get hands-on, team-oriented, project-based experiences in every single aspect of interactive media and games. If you're coming in as an artist, we will teach you how to code. If you're coming in as a programmer, we will teach you how to do 3D art, right? You will get a broad foundation in all of the different parts of interactive media and games, and then specialize in a particular area that's of interest to you. And we have tracks available for programming, for various aspects in content creation, like art, animation, writing, and audio. We're building out tracks for production management. We have a student who's working on game marketing right now. There's an ability to be able to specialize in the area that's interesting to you based on that underlying broad foundation. We have about 27 faculty between our core faculty and affiliate faculty. That means the people who are allowed to advise projects in our major, and over 80 courses dedicated to some aspect of interactive media and games. So we have a pretty full curriculum, and the expertise of our faculty and what we're interested in doing is really, really broad. So we have people who are interested in technical development, and then students who are interested in technical development as well, right? Writing your own game engines, creating your own procedural content generators, working in virtual and augmented reality, working on data analytics and data visualization. And then we have a bunch of specializations and expertise areas in all of the different arts as they intersect with IMGD. So 2D art, 3D art and animation, technical art, design, writing, music and audio, and game studies, which is the study of how games operate in our society and how people play games and what it means for the world that we play games together and consume interactive media together. And there's a lot of opportunity for you to be able to work really closely with faculty in areas of interest. I want to highlight in design, we have a course running this year on IMGD fashion. It's actually running right now. It's a very small project course, a special topics course, because we had a bunch of students who said that they were interested in like costuming and IMGD and like wearable technologies and games. And so we have students who are making like a hoop skirt with a decoder ring on it, interacts like a glove that you can use as a mouse, so you can like press down on it and controls different parts of the screen. There's really a lot of opportunity to be able to customize and seek out and pursue the things that you're interested in. And we love working with students and the kinds of exciting ideas that students bring. So you know, if you're interested in something that intersects this or something else, we will learn along with you and teach you and help guide you to what you want to be able to do. So an important note for all of you, and I think many of you may already know this because you do sort of specify what area you're interested in, but just to be sure we're all on the same page here. There are two different IMGD majors that are both called IMGD. The first is a Bachelor of Science in IMGD that's focused on the technology side of the field. And the second is a Bachelor of Arts degree that's focused on the arts and writing and design side of the field. And so I'm going to talk about both of these degrees. I want to be very clear that you can come in to WPI not knowing which of these pathways is right for you. We will help you figure it out. And the two degrees have a really large shared cohort of courses, especially in the early years. So you can kind of get here and figure out what the right pathway for you is. But they are two different pathways with two different sets of course requirements and different concentration areas. So to talk about the Bachelor of Science degree in IMGD technology, this is a degree that's very heavily focused on the technical computer science side of interactive media and games. IMGD, I just saw in the chat, IMGD stands for Interactive Media and Game Development, or Interactive Media and Game Design, depending on the degree you're in. The D is overloaded. So in the technical game development side and the IMGD technology side, this is a track that really teaches you about programming and computer science and how it intersects interactive media and games. So just give you a few examples of the kinds of things that people do in these courses. We have a course called IMGD 3000 where students build their own game engine from scratch in C++. With an ASCII art rendering layer. So it lets you really focus on the technology side instead of needing to worry about all of the graphics and art as well. There's a lot that students can do in this course and with ASCII art. So this is a recreation of asteroids in ASCII art that students in IMGD 3000 created just last year. They even have like a little funny particle effect for when ships explode on the screen. In IMGD technologies, the kinds of things you can expect to learn are things like game engine architecture. You can also learn about artificial intelligence for interactive media and games. That's actually a course that I teach and I'm especially passionate about. How to breathe life into characters through programming. You can learn about AI navigation, you can learn about networking. So one of our faculty, Professor Claypool, he has a collaboration that he's doing right now with Google Stadia, which is sort of like one of the streaming services for games, like Netflix, but for games. And they're studying things like how latency impacts the way that people experience games and how to diminish the amount of buffering time and latency time when you're playing. You learn about game physics and camera control, all from kind of a programming side. So if you're interested in things like game physics, networking, AI, game development, and programming, the IMGD Technologies degree is a really great opportunity. Within IMGD Tech, there are a number of other sort of outside games things that you can work on. We have a special focus area in the intersection of computation and craft. This is a game that you play on an embroidery machine. It's sitting in the basement right below my feet right now. We have a faculty member who does live coding music and visuals. He performs in what are called algo raves, which are like the nerdiest concert you will ever go to, where he stands sort of programming the code that creates the music that plays, and then people in the audience kind of like follow along with what's going on, and sometimes they dance, sometimes they don't. And a lot of sort of live visual coding as well. And it's a really interesting interactive experience. I've done a little bit of visual live coding with Professor Roberts while he's doing the music, and it's super fun. And he works with students on creating these kinds of environments, creating new languages to be able to create music and visuals, which is really, really exciting work. And then the other thing I should say about the IMGD Technologies degree is it has a pretty significant overlap with some of the computer science courses. And we have a large number of our students, roughly half of our students in IMGD Tech, double major in computer science. Computer science at WPI is also sort of a top ranked school. And it's a really powerful combination to be able to pursue both sort of computer science and be able to authenticate as a computer science person when you go out into the job market, and in IMGD, and you kind of get like the best of both worlds, and it's a very exciting thing to be able to do. On the art side, in IMGD Arts, we have a number of different concentration areas. I'm going to talk a little about the kinds of work that you do in the IMGD Arts degree, but it's very varied depending on what your area of interest is. So we have an art track, which covers really everything. It's like an art curriculum with embedded in a technically oriented institution like WPI. So we have courses in figure drawing and digital painting. We have courses in modeling, both clay modeling, but then digital modeling as well, both in terms of traditional 3D poly modeling, and digital sculpting as well. So these are some examples of 3D models that are created using the software that we have available in our labs. We have courses in technical art that includes things like motion capture. So we have a bunch of motion capture suits that people can put on and wear, and like get your friends to wear the mocap suit and then animate. I was actually, just before this, I was in a colloquium where one of our faculty was presenting on how to do 3D, like use software that's available on consumer level iPhones at this point to be able to create a 3D model of a person in an environment. So he's going through this process of like using the phone to 3D scan a person who's standing there and then convert it into a model that can then be rigged and animated and used in game development environments and interactive media environments. We have an animation curriculum. One of our faculty was formerly an animator at Disney Animation Studios. He worked on films like Pocahontas and The Little Mermaid. And so we have a number of courses that explicitly are about teaching the creative process of animation, including 2D animation, applying the 12 classic animation principles like squash and stretch, like making things look like they have life and character to them. As well as moving into 3D animation, both for film and for games, where there's actually similar technologies that are used for both, but very different considerations in terms of how to actually follow a process to be able to get to a final animated piece. And we have, if you're interested in going more into 3D animation in a film sort of setting, we can guide you through that, or in a game sort of setting or interactive media sort of setting, we can guide you through that. These are some examples of student work from our arts curriculum. We have some wonderfully talented students, and many of whom really learned in IMGD, had relatively little arts experience prior to coming to WPI. So I'm just going to show you some pretty pictures of things that students have done. These are some work samples from first year students after taking just one of our art courses. And there's really a focus on being able to create functional art, right? So not just sort of expressing yourself creatively through 3D modeling software and animation software, but also really considering how to take that sort of artistic expression and turn it into something that can be usable in an actual finished game, or in a number of other applications like film, medical environments. We have some projects that are sort of collaborative with health and education and training as well. Really just a lot of opportunities. I'm just going to show more pretty pictures, right? A lot of opportunities to be able to pursue that more creative side of your interests. We're one of the few schools for interactive media and games that has a writing concentration. And so within the writing concentration, there are courses specific in writing characters, writing narratives, procedural. We have a course in procedural storytelling this year that I'm hoping will turn into something that we can offer more permanently. And that can be as it relates to sort of digital experiences, but also physical experiences like interactive theater and escape rooms, any sort of place where you need to write things and tell a story through games. It's core to what we do here in IMGD. We also have a music and audio concentration with courses in IMGD audio. We have a course that's going to start running next year on Foley recording, Foley pits that's collaborative with our theater department. This is Professor Barton. He makes robots that are instruments or robots that play instruments, or some combination of the two. Some of our students will end up working with him as well if you're interested in that kind of thing. So I'm going to show a big scary chart that you don't need to like understand all of the different things. I just want to give you a high level view on what our curriculum looks like. So this is sort of the core flow chart for the different kinds of courses that are offered through IMGD. The important takeaway here is that there are a number of courses that are fundamental and that are offered in both majors and are eligible for credit in both majors. And that's really the sort of broad foundation here at the top. And then there are ways to specialize beyond that, right? So remember, broad foundation, specialization within. So we have courses on the IMGD technology side. We have courses in visual arts and technical art. We have courses in design and writing. And so that's what exists in the curriculum. Outside of the curriculum, we have a number of other opportunities as well. So we have a collaboration with the Worcester Center for Crafts, where students can take courses in metalworking, glass blowing, and ceramics. We have a lecture, colloquium, and celebrity speaker series where we bring speakers from the industry to be able to give talks on topics that are of interest in IMGD. We run master classes occasionally, usually a few a year, where we bring in industry professionals and they'll spend a weekend workshop with you on an area that's of special interest to that professional. We have an escape room that runs every year that is student designed. Usually it runs in December. Sometimes it has a holiday theme. There was one year where you had to kill Santa Claus, I think. And so there's opportunities to be able to get involved in projects like that. And then we have a lot of opportunities to be able to connect our students with the local Worcester developer community, as well as the broader community in Boston and the Boston metro area. We have a booth that's at PAX East every year where we showcase student projects. We also have an end of year show with alumni and industry professionals who come in and interview our students who just finished their senior design projects, and we stream that on Twitch and YouTube. You may be able to find some recordings somewhere if you're especially enterprising from last year. And then I'm going to talk about them a little bit later as well, but MassDigi is a really amazing resource for us. They've just recently moved to the WPI campus. They used to be at Becker College. When Becker College closed, many of the people at Becker moved to Clark University. MassDigi moved to us. And MassDigi is a phenomenal professionalization organization. They have connections to industry, independent games, to government, to nonprofits, really people all over the New England area who are interested in games and interactive media, and can help with learning how to do professional networking, can help with all kinds of opportunities to be able to see how you take the skills that you're learning and turn them into something that can be a career and connect with a broader industry. We also have a new initiative for IMGD, just a year or so old at this point, called Idea Studio, or the Intentional Design Studio. This is an opportunity for students to be able to learn IMGD skills in a studio-based environment, often on projects that are contracted with external clients. This is a screenshot of a game called A Jersey for Helmet that a team of students created last year for the Worcester Art Museum to accompany the Worcester Art Museum's exhibit on the baseball jersey. And so in this little app, you can download it and play with it and be able to dress up Helmet, which is their adorable dog mascot, in various designs of baseball jersey. These are often, but not always, paid work opportunities. They're team-based projects, and a really great opportunity to be able to learn on the job, learning new skills while working on projects that will exist out in the real world for clients. We have 4 major IMGD student clubs. There's the IGDA, which is the International Game Developers Association. We have a student chapter here that's focused on making games. We also have GDC. It used to be the Game Dev Club. Now I think it's still called GDC, but it's more focused on playing games. We have an esports club that's more for competitive play. And then we have a diversity in games student group, which is really where students who are interested in social issues in games, students with identities from marginalized backgrounds are able to come and get together and network together and have content specifically interesting to them. In terms of facilities, just to try to close it out to get to have time for questions. We have facilities in Fuller Labs and in the new Unity Hall for virtual reality and augmented reality. We have a green screen, 3D scanning and 3D printing capacity. We have an audio recording room that's sound treated, so it doesn't get as much impact from sort of the outside. In our teaching lab, we have Wacom Cintiq screens, the kind that you can draw directly onto the screen. There's a big screen in the Innovation Studio on campus that we occasionally co-opt for our programming. We did an algo rave on there once. We have project space available in the new Unity Hall that just opened on campus. One of the labs downstairs, I actually just had a student in my office earlier today giving me an update on how they're wanting to renovate that space to be more of a creative collaboration lab with like whiteboard paint all over the place and a prototyping studio. So we really try to provide the kinds of facilities that students need to be able to do the kinds of projects that they want to do. In terms of international opportunities, this has been challenging during the COVID era, of course, although we are starting to see a return to international travel and global projects. Historically, IMGD has been one of the few majors on campus that has an international project center at the MQP level. In this project center, students travel to Japan, either Kyoto or Osaka, and work in research labs in universities in those cities on their senior year project. There's a faculty advisor who goes and spends 3 weeks with them and then flies home and advises remotely for the remainder of the time. I did it 1 year and I can't wait to be able to do it again. But it's a very, very popular experience that hasn't been able to run in the last couple of years because of COVID, and Japan has very strict policies around international travel still. But we anticipate being able to offer again, sort of as the pandemic goes into whatever its boss phase is. In terms of employment outlook, if you Google around, you'll be able to find kind of the entertainment and game industry entry-level salaries. Just reporting from Game Industry Career Guide, averages tend to be around $72,000 a year for engineers and programmers, and lower than that, $55,000 for artists and animators. This varies very, very heavily by skill set and location. So when you're looking at that kind of data, you really need to keep in mind that in areas where there's a higher cost of living, the salary will be higher, and in areas where there's lower cost of living, the salary will be lower, right? we work very closely with our Career Development Center to be able to help our students develop resumes and portfolios. We also work with local industry. Rockstar Studios is going to be coming next week to do a portfolio review session for our students. We have a very strong retention rate, and we put a lot of effort into really trying to provide the kind of professional support that students need to be able to find longer term employment opportunities. We do work, as I said earlier, very closely with MassDigi to be able to offer these kinds of opportunities and lean on their networks to be able to do that. Tracking roughly 80% of our alumni as of last year, we see that our students go into a number of different places. Many do go into the entertainment and games industry and work at both small and large game studios. And we have good professional networks to our alumni. We actually had a student who graduated a couple of years ago who went to one of these companies and then got in contact with all of their friends and tried to get their friends jobs the following year at that same place. And so we now have a few students who are going out to these different companies. We also see some of our students go out into more traditional technology and engineering type roles. We have students who do who end up doing serious game development at places like MIT Lincoln Lab and MITRE. We have students who decide that they want to go more into the interactive media and web development sort of route. Some who go into more games and media education opportunities, and then some who go to graduate school. And the last time I looked at it, which admittedly was not this month, but pretty recently, the average salary for our graduates is around $80,000 a year, so higher than the stated averages on sources like Game Career Guide. This is just a few examples of the kinds of games that our alumni have worked on. You may see some familiar games in here and also some sort of smaller mobile independent games, but really a wide variety of areas in the industry that we prepare our students to be able to go to. We also work very closely with our alumni and are trying to build out even more our alumni networks. We do have a Discord server that connects our current students with alumni and has a number of different roles available. So there's some student only channels, and then there's some channels where you can connect with faculty as well. We invite our alumni back for campus events and invited talks. In this picture here, these are actually two of our alumni, Leo and Kate, came back to our annual end of year showcase called ShowFest to be able to interview our current students live as part of their sort of end of year showcase event. So I want to say thank you so much for coming. I do have some time to be able to take questions, and I'm also just going to throw up this slide. So for prospective students, you are very, very welcome to join our student run Discord server. This QR code should take you to it, and this link here should take you to it as well. If there are parents watching on the same screen as the students right now, this is students only, not parents, but you're very, very welcome to join and be able to connect directly with our students and learn more about our program from them and not just me. So I'll leave this here and I can take questions now. So thank you.
I have a question just to kick it off.
Sure.
Do you have any like favorite projects that you've seen students work on? I ask everybody this because I'm so curious. So like if anything stands out to you or.
It's so hard to say because they can all be so different. I should say I have a reputation among the faculty of being one of the faculty who doesn't typically enjoy virtual reality projects, not because I don't like VR, but because VR makes me throw up. And so every year when the students decide they want to do virtual reality projects, I'm like, okay, just like you've succeeded if you put the headset on my head and I don't immediately want to vomit, right? But there was a project one year, one of the Japan projects. It was a VR game about cooking traditional Japanese food. And it was like this super chaotic, like you have to move around this kitchen and it's team-based, and you're like trying to chop up the fish for the sushi, and then there's rice over here, and you've got to like run around to all of the different stations. And somehow they nailed it so that I didn't feel sick, and it was totally delightful and hilarious to play. So I loved that one. I do have a soft place in my heart for more of the interactive media side projects. So I really loved Hannah Goodsell. That's one of our students this year. Her mini museum was really beautiful. She had these like shadow boxes with sensors in them and lights and sound effects. So that one I really enjoyed, but I love them all. They're all just really, really different from each other.
Yeah, especially with these projects, I feel like you can really see the creative side, obviously, of people come out, and like what they're capable of is crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I should say in our projects, so certainly in the MQP, but then also in a number of the curriculum-based projects as well, our curriculum is project-based from the very beginning. There's vanishingly few like tests and exams and quizzes in IMGD courses. Every so often, yes, but the majority of our courses are very heavily project-based. And we have a real focus on making sure that the programming students and the art side students are working together at a variety of points during your time in the degree. And so we have paired courses at the junior level and the senior level for the programming students and the art side students to work together on projects. And then almost all of our MQPs end up being interdisciplinary projects, actually with more than one faculty advisor, because we need someone there to advise the tech side and someone there to advise the art side.
Awesome. Oh, I think we have a couple of questions. I think you may have already, what buildings on campus are most IMGD courses?
Yeah, so we have a teaching lab in Fuller Labs on the second floor of Fuller Labs, which is also where a lot of the computer science stuff is, although computer science has moved out a little bit into Unity Hall. And so that's a space where we run courses in that teaching lab during the day, and then it's open for students to be able to use for their projects once the scheduled courses for the day are over. So that's a really common place that students can go to be able to hang out. We do have new project space in Unity Hall right now. So the Unity Hall just opened in January, and so not everyone has moved into the space yet. So if you're around campus and you're wandering through, you may be like, why are things empty here? It's because the building literally opened in January in the middle of our academic year. But we do have project space in Unity Hall that I anticipate will be coming online more over the summer and into next year. And those are really the main places that that students go on the academic side to be able to hang out. I'm sure there are many other places that students go that I never get to see.
And then, did you mention you have mocap? Is that, am I saying that
Yeah,
right?
we have motion capture facilities. So we have our professor Farley Sherry is the one who runs most of our motion capture and technical art courses. There are some mocap suits that students in those courses can use, and then we've also begun collaborating a little with Practice Point, which is a facility over in Gateway, to be able to use some of their equipment as well. So yes, if you're interested in motion capture, we do motion capture here, and we have suits. Oh, I just found the Q&A box. Now I can read them. Sorry. Logan says, who hires graduates of this program, and what chances will we have to present ourselves to potential employers? That's a great question. So I think I had a slide earlier of the kinds of companies that hire. We have students who go out into entertainment industry, into tech industry, into interactive media, and into education. Those are sort of the dominant areas that people go to. And so it's really kind of all over the map. In terms of chances to present to employers, we have our annual end of year Showfest event. That's required for our seniors to present in, but it's also open to students at any stage in IMGD to be able to show a project that they've worked on that year. And so that can be a great opportunity as a sophomore or as a junior to be able to get some experience with presenting project work that you've been doing either in your courses or extracurricular to people from the industry. And then also we have a PAX East booth that we run every year that has student projects at it, where students apply to be able to have their project showcased there. And that's also, the PAX East booth is a student-run project. So it's actually an IQP that runs every year for the students who organize the booth and kind of learn how to put on through that IQP, learn how to sort of network and sort of put on events like this. And then they decide who the student projects are that'll showcase at PAX East. And then a number of other opportunities throughout the year, kind of ad hoc. Someone asked, would you recommend an Apple or a Windows computer? I think you're going to get different answers from different people. The machines that we have in the teaching labs are Windows based. I use a Mac and I have always been fine, but I'm not heavy on the like 3D modeling art side or on really on like the 3D engine side. So it kind of depends. We do make sure that, so our labs have equipment in them and we guarantee that the courses that we teach will run on the equipment that we have in our teaching labs. And we refresh the hardware in those labs roughly every 3 years. So you can kind of come in with whatever computer you prefer as a personal computer and then use the teaching lab computers for your project work as well, if you want. What career fields could an IMGD degree be valuable in other than the game industry? So any kind of web development, any kind of place where what you care about is experience design. That's really the core of what we do, is designing experiences for other humans using game technologies or computational technologies. So we will have students go into more sort of programming and arts and graphic design side things in sort of web tech industry. We have students who go on to want to be able to work in museums and museum exhibit design, right? I'm thinking of a student like Hannah Goodsell. We really a number of different places. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there's any places that might be surprising to you. Audio engineering, so we have some students who go and work at Bose on sort of the application side of audio engineering as well. IMGD is really fundamentally about creating like the marriage of creativity and technology, right? And so anything that involves that, we support through the IMGD program. How often do people focus on audio and music for IMGD, and do MQP students typically have a student in that path? Oh, do MQP groups typically have a student in that path? Yeah, so we have this audio and music concentration, and we do have a number of students who do that concentration every year. We have, I'm just thinking about the IQPs that I have advised, MQPs that I have advised. The majority of them have ended up with at least one audio or music person on the team. We do have an MQP that runs on a fairly regular basis that's something to do with soundscape design or audio-based games that's primarily advised by one of our audio faculty. So sometimes there are MQPs that are entirely audio-based. And then on the kind of live coding music side of things, that's Professor Roberts who typically does those kinds of projects. Usually he has an MQP each year that's more sort of music and audio focused. So, you know, it's not every student, right? Because we do all the things, but if you're interested in audio and music, you can certainly find a home here and you'll have the opportunity to work on projects and take courses that are interesting to you. Are there any other questions? I think someone had asked in the chat whether this is recorded. Sydney, yes, we recorded this, right?
Yep, this is being recorded and it will be posted on our website so people can come back and view it later as well, which is really helpful. So yeah, that'll be available. Also, just to kind of touch upon, I know there were kind of a couple questions about like after WPI and finding jobs and stuff. And I think definitely on the admission side of things, and something that you may have heard throughout your process, or and I just definitely want to reiterate that WPI's project work is really what makes us unique, I think, compared to other places. And when you do those projects and you have that experience and you're working hand in hand with companies and alongside people from different disciplines and different perspectives, it really makes you a very marketable candidate for jobs and for, all of the opportunities that you have to network and interact with employers. And so I definitely think, especially with this too, your project work really speaks for itself.
Sydney, there's a question in here about housing that I do not know the answer to.
Is there a different housing option for students who wish to room with other students with special interests or similar studies? I believe when you apply for housing, there will be like a whole survey of questions that you can fill out to specify interests, specify preferences. So I believe all of that will be taken care of through the housing side of things.
A question here, is there a master's program in IMGD? Yes! We actually have 3 different graduate degrees in IMGD. We have a Master of Science that is an option for the BS-MS program. You can also do the BS-MS if you're a BA student. So we do have some students who do BA-MS. So it's like a slight misnomer, mostly because WPI doesn't have that many BA degrees. And so I think it's sort of satisfyingly alliterative to say BSMS. But if you're a BA side student, you're also eligible for that 5-year plan for bachelor's combined into master's. So we do have a Master of Science degree in IMGD. We also have a new Master of Fine Arts degree. That's a terminal degree on the arts and design side that we have a student in right now who did her undergraduate as an IMGD BS student and is now getting her MFA. And we have a PhD in computational media. So if you want to be in it for like the really long haul, you are welcome to stay with us for all of your schooling. But yes, we do have a graduate program, and there are times when our graduate students will kind of work on projects with undergraduate students. There's a nice community of graduate students. They're actually in a room below me right now playing board games together. So yeah, we do have a master's program.
Awesome, thank you. Any final questions? I'll leave it open for a couple more seconds.
If you think of a question after the fact, you are welcome to post it in this Discord server. So it's a student-run server that has both students and faculty in it. And when you join as a prospective student, you gain access to the channels for prospective students and that faculty also have access to. And then once you decide to commit to WPI, the student moderators will give you access to the full server where there's student-only channels as well. We were very, very intentional about making sure that this is a student-run community that faculty have some access to. It's not a faculty-run community.
Awesome. That's a really good resource to use.
Logan said, would it be possible to speak to an alumni? Yes. So if you join this Discord server, a number of our alumni are in the Discord server as well. So there's no guarantee that they'll be able to like answer you immediately, right? But they are there. And if you want to be able to get that perspective of someone who's gone through the program, that can be a good place to be able to connect to our alumni.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for attending. And thank you so much, Professor Smith, for sharing more about IMGD with us. This was really great. It was a really cool presentation. But yeah, guys, join the Discord server and definitely ask your questions. I think it would be really valuable and really helpful to hear perspectives from students and from faculty. But thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you all. Congratulations on your acceptance to WPI, and maybe I'll be able to see some of you in the fall.
Awesome. Bye, everyone.
Bye.